Hi, this is Jessica DeMassa at the Guidewell Insights Lounge. I'm here at Singularity University's Exponential Medicine, and joining me in the lounge right now is John Nosta. He's the founder of Nosta Labs, which is a digital health lab. So tell me what that means.
We think.
Okay.
I mean, in the simplest of terms, you want to get it down to one word. Volvo means safety. Nosta Lab means think. We try to think about what's going on in the complex market of digital health, and we do it from the perspective of medicine and from marketing.
Okay.
And the idea is that, what good is winking in the dark? There's so many brilliant innovators here. Got people who are changing the world. They take all their money, all their small seed money and put it into their app or put it into their device or put it into the technology, but they don't think about the marketing. So we don't want people to be lost. We want to empower innovation through brilliant creative thinking, and that's kind of what we do.
So tell me a little bit about that. So how are you applying marketing thinking to health innovation?
Well, for example, if you create a thermometer that moms will use for their children, we see a lot of these devices around today. How do you get that sold? Do you leverage Amazon and get it in the hands of moms who shop a lot? Or do you go to a pediatrician and have the pediatrician become an advocate for it? Or worse than that, suppose the pediatrician says, that's not really a good thing, that's new, untested, go back and use that traditional thermometer that I used in medical school. So one of the examples is audience segmentation. We talk about the democratization of health, a big trend, right? Build it and they will come. That's wrong. It's wrong because the democratization of health is probably a two-party system. We have to engage clinicians, physicians, nurses, healthcare practitioners so that they can embrace the technology too and become advocates of it. So I don't think it's a single-party system, it's democratization of health in the purest sense. So we try to help people navigate that because oftentimes they're thinking about their product and they're not thinking about the marketplace, and it's really important to think about both.
So tell me, as far as from the consumer engagement perspective, and define consumer broadly here, you can talk about the provider, you can talk about the health system, you can talk about the patient, everybody. So what is some good advice to give to these consumers in terms of adopting health innovations more quickly?
I think that people have to be exposed in a collaborative environment. So here's, we live in a collaboratory today. It's no longer control. Back in the old days, your doctor would tell you what to do. They'd say, take the pill and call me in the morning kind of thing. But today, the whole clinical dynamic is a collaborative engagement. So patients have to be willing to look around, to experiment, to talk with other patients, to look at consumer activity groups or engagements, and really be involved as a participant in care. And I think that's probably the biggest takeaway. It's no longer about that one-way arrow from me to you. It's about control. It's about collaboration, that collaborative experience.
So talk to me about the provider side of that, or the health system side of that. How can marketing help drive these innovations more quickly into the delivery system, so to speak?
Well, we live in the world of accelerated change, of exponential growth, one of the common terms around here. I think that providers and a variety of organizations have to be able to pilot and pivot. That would be my fundamental advice to them. Try something, see how it works, push it out to your marketplace, and then move forward on it. Because there's not a magic bullet to these things. You go to some of the big providers and you expect them to say, well, we need to roll out this telemedicine program to all of our customers. And 20% enroll and 1% actually use it. That's not a good strategy. I think that the idea today is to pilot, look at where successes are, and then be able to pivot to change those things. Picasso has the best advice. Picasso said, good artists borrow and great artists steal. And you can steal from the financial industry, you can steal from the consumer goods, from Amazon, from Apple. And I think that's probably the best way to kind of move things incrementally, and then when you see when it works, move forward.
We're hearing a lot that one of the big trends here that people are talking about is that the disruption of healthcare is going to come from outside of the industry. And so I want to know from your perspective, bringing in this marketing standpoint, what can the healthcare industry learn from marketing?
Well, a lot. I think that healthcare, particularly pharma, has been a largely insular kind of marketing dynamic. They've been kind of big and bold. They've had this thing called the sales rep, which the sales rep was the hammer. And the hammer would hit the audience, especially some of the big pharmaceutical companies. So, I think it's going to be tricky, again, looking from the outside in versus the inside out. And I think that pharma in general is looking to kind of what's the word? They're looking to sort of reinvent themselves.
Okay.
And one of the surprising things about the meeting here is I'm surprised that I didn't see that much pharma engagement.
Really? Okay.
So number one, I didn't see a lot of pharma engagement. Number two, I didn't see a lot of EMR, EHR engagement. And those are two fundamental linchpins to healthcare. You know, we're talking about all this electronic data. If we can't integrate that into the medical record, what good is it? Similarly, pharma spends the lion's share of money.
Right.
And I'm surprised that they're not here. I don't know if they're afraid, if they're confused, or they're so busy playing in their accelerators that they all seem to be creating that maybe they're lost in the maze of the accelerator.
That's interesting. That's an interesting idea. So is there anybody else who's missing from the table here that you've noticed?
Those are the two
groups?
Yeah, you know, I'd love to see a little bit of a breakout. One of the things we're seeing is a global engagement. A lot of people from all around the world,
right.
You know, that's terrific. I think there's the gender split is not so good. I think I'd like to see more women. Mm-hmm. I think they bring a sensitivity. After all, women are the gatekeepers to health.
Right.
You know, my wife tells me to go to the doctor. I don't. So I think it'd be great to have that voice. Also, as we go lower, I'd like to see more of, you know, the allied health professionals. How about nurses? How about respiratory therapists? How about first responders, paramedics? It's an expensive proposition to come here, so maybe there's some partnering opportunities to get people here. But I think once we begin to hear those voices, we begin to learn some of the problems that need to be solved.
So I wanted to ask one last question that's
Sure.
kind of a big question. So
Okay.
I'm a branding person, and so
Okay.
I'm wondering, do we need to rebrand healthcare?
Wow. I think that we are in the century of health. We are looking at fundamental changes from genomic analysis to the ability to find disease at stage 0. Think about that. It's no longer stage 3A, it's no longer stage 4, it's no longer breast cancer palpated by a hand, which is almost barbaric in a way.
Right.
We are seeing such early stages. So with that in mind, the first person to live to 150 has been said is alive today, and they very well may be at this convention. A girl born today has a 1 in 3 chance of living to 100. So I think, yes, in the final analysis, I've come a long way to get there.
I know.
But it's not so much about healthcare, but maybe it's about health.
Interesting.
And you know, we live, all of our money is spent on disease prevention. Very little is spent on prevention because prevention doesn't work. Let's face it, they tell me to get off the couch and exercise or eat an apple instead of a bag of Cheetos. No, I'm gonna sit on my couch, watch the football game, and eat the Cheetos.
Right.
But if we could find ways of getting to an earlier and earlier and earlier diagnosis, what we do is share a border with prevention. So the way to get to prevention is not by beating someone with a stick, exercise, exercise, exercise. It's using nanoparticles to find cancer at a time where it's subclinical, at stage 0. So I think it's a matter of health and not so much health care.
Excellent, excellent answer.
Thanks, my pleasure.
John, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us, and we definitely appreciate the perspective
Sure
of
thing.
somebody who does a lot of big thinking
Great.
on healthcare.
You guys are doing a great job. Thank you for bringing us here. And
Oh, my gosh.
GuideWell is kind of defining this path. So that's a real important trend. So congratulations to them and to you.
John, thank you so much for saying so. We appreciate that. I'm Jessica DeMassa in the GuideWell Insights Lounge here at Singularity University's Exponential Medicine. Thank you so much for joining us.